What I did was start an organization called RockEd Philippines. But when I started it, it didn't have the shape of an organization in my head at all. You know, when you don't know much about organizing, you think you're starting a movement. So with the naivete, I thought I was starting a movement at that time. And what I do now is run it. So I run RockEd Philippines, and I run the projects under it, and also we have a radio show. So that's what I do. When people ask me why I started RockEd, usually they ask me, what was your inspiration for starting RockEd? You know, what inspired you? And I always say the same thing. I started RockEd not because I was inspired. I never thought of myself as an inspired human being, but I started because I was very frustrated. It wasn't so much that I wasn't active. I just thought, wala na si President Marcos, it's Korean and FBR. I thought we were cool on the political side. You know, we're cruising towards democracy. So hindi ako aktivista. By that, I mean, hindi ako nag-rally, hindi ako sumasali sa anything. And so, nung Garci year, 2005, it was the first rally I actually went to on my own accord. I went alone. And, you know, you rarely do that. It was certainly out of character. But when I got there, it didn't quite give me I didn't know what I was expecting, no? You don't know, I was very new at it. I didn't know what I was expecting in a reaction, but I certainly was not satisfied with just going to a rally. From the rally, I texted a group of friends, like photographers and journalists, and most of them were photographers at that time and filmmakers, and I said, hey, are you in the rally? And most of them said yes. Yeah, they're taking photos or something. And I said, could you meet up with me like a block from here, Old Swiss Inn? There's this restaurant, and let's just meet up. So we did. Everybody's charged from the rally. Everybody's, you know, the air was a bit charged. And we met up. And I said, you know, I have this project in mind. It was called the RockEd Project. Right or wrong, we listen more to the rock musician than right or wrong, we listen to them more than teachers or priests and nuns, you know. Unfortunate as that may seem, that's truth, you know, because we listen to artists more. We remember photos more. We remember short films, visuals, sound. So I figured, what if we take the same subject matters, the same crucial issues, but present it, like present it again in another way. And why force them to go at 9 a.m. to an auditorium when they're half asleep? I realized at 9 a.m. in a classroom, I am barely paying attention. I am half there. But at 10 p.m. in a bar, oh good God, I am the most absorbent thing, you know, of all. I'm so aware, I'm so alert. Whatever you teach me at that time, I will really remember because it's your peak alertness. Of course, I was just speaking in terms of my experience because I wasn't a very good student. So I pictured, if I can win myself over, I will win a population of uninterested people as well. So I designed some of the forums that will really appeal to me. What will not make me bored? And then so we replicated that. And that's the form of rock that I imagined at the start. We will rock while educating and educate while rocking, and that was the whole concept. So I proposed this in the Old Swiss Inn, and a lot of them agreed, and we carried on from there. I think that's how it started. For me, you know, we rarely pay attention to speeches, but we so memorize melody and lyrics, and music just talks to us. I don't know if it's just being Filipino or as a human being, music is just easier to grab. I always used to get invited to talk about human rights in schools, in high schools, and sometimes they give me an hour or 2 hours, and it's really hard to fill that up. So I cheat, so in a good way, and I bring a musician. Kasi in between he would sing, in between I'd speak. And for me, it's just an easier grasp of it because you're actually paying attention. Because there's someone singing, Paulo Santos is singing, Noel Cabangan is there, and even if the student doesn't remember everything, at least the student will remember. Oh, that was the time Noel Cabangan was here, and we were talking about human rights. So what happens? When you channel surf and you come across a news station, somehow minsan mag-stop ka na, you will stop. That's all I want. That's all I want. Even if it seems like my work is so dreamy, and even if it's so easy to romanticize my work, to make it more poetic than it is, but really I do what I do because I'm actually a very practical person. Because one, I have the resources to do it. By resources, I don't mean money or connections. I mean my friends are artists. I was so lucky that I went to college with the Eraserheads. That's 4 bands right there because they split. I just had to put that in. And because they are my friends. So when you set a goal, the practical thing to do is you do an environmental scan. You figure out, what do I have? Resource analysis. You analyze your resources. What do I have? And then you set a goal and you go for it. My first goal was, I just need 10 excellent speakers of young people on top of their fields. And all I wanted was to be their manager to schools and say, would you like to invite this set of speakers? Because they're really effective. Parang I would just manage them. Parang speakers bureau. So the first one is, I'm a very practical person. I had the resources I thought that it would take to do what I wanted to do. Number 2, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Filipino music. I'm a fan of Philippine filmmakers. I'm a fan of photography. Therefore, I love watching it from afar. So the arsenal of choice, my weaponry of choice, are things I love. So it's not difficult. It doesn't feel like work because I'm such a fan. It's just as much as if you're a roadie and you're a fan of the band you're a roadie for. It really doesn't feel like work. So I think that helps. That propels you somehow. It's a lot, a lot of effort, a chunk of effort out. Whenever teachers are saying, does RockEd go to schools to politicize our students? Absolutely, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I don't mean politics in the sense that we imagine it. By politicized, I mean looking for agents of change to change society. Naghahanap sila ng answers nila. So there's nothing to be afraid of, actually, but we always attach a really negative meaning to the word politics. But politics is the fastest changer of things. When you change policy, ang daming nagbabago. We have to really love politics. It's because we hate politics, because we think politics is about the politician, but it isn't. Politics is about the movement that desires to change society and make it better. So dapat hindi tayo natatakot. So I want the younger ones to be comfortable with the questions about society. I want them to figure out what matters most to them and then pursue it. If you find your advocacy, go there and do it with everything you've got. Minsan lang yung buhay and go there. So I guess the advocacy I found was the advocacy of questions. I ask questions because many game plans happen because you ask questions. Certainly, most of the good decisions I've done or I've created, good decisions I've made were because I asked questions. Because you once had a question, you figured out an answer, and you were part of that answer. And you say, this is why I have to do what I have to do. Because I have the resources for it, I have the capacity for it, or I can train for it, I can work for it, then I will do it. Why? Because I had this one pressing question and I can answer it, or I can be part of the answer. In my context, it's this way. My question was, why is it that the rich teenager is rarely won over by advocacies? Then I realized, I think they think the teenager who is rich or capable or educated is a hopeless case. Cannot win them over because they will think on their own and etc. Well, I wanted to know, my question was, but wait, what if we get the richer teenager to be the one asking civic questions? What if the richer teenager is actually the one most civically involved? What kind of generation will happen after? And yung mga may kaya, mga nag-aral sa maayos na eskwelahan, UST, Ateneo, Adamson, LaSalle, UP, etc. We are the ones who inherit businesses, run for office. We are the ones who become doctors, lawyers, congressmen, mayors, etc. We are the holders and movers and fixers. Unfortunate or not, that's the truth. Ikaw ang nakapag-aral, ikaw yung nagmamana ng big decisions. And so I realized, what if, while they're still 14 years old and 15 and 16, we will let them hear dreams about the country. We will let them hear the rock stars that they listen to so intently. Tell them that you can dream for the Philippines because you're the one who will change it. What if at 14 and 16, the dreams and the words are still big, I can still dream big because I'm 15. And I'm listening to someone and I'm saying, I think this rock star makes sense. Why not, diba? So, I'm listening and I'm saying, pwede ko to gawin. Kasi 10 years from now, ako magmamana ng business ng dad ko. Okay. So, I think that was my question. And I realized I could be part of it because I figured out, who do they listen to? They listen to artists. Artists are my friends. So I said, let's do this. I think we can do this. So I think the advocacy is not as static as you imagine it to be. Because when you ask questions, what you're really saying is this. This is my country. This is my business. My country, my business. We always imagine that the problems in Maguindanao are not ours. We always imagine if it doesn't affect us, if it doesn't change our rhythm, it is not our problem. And that is wrong. When there is something wrong there, it's your business. It's my business. And I can't say it enough, Your country, your business. And if it's your business, you ask. May pakialam ka. You don't walk away from it. You don't shrug it. You don't turn a blind eye. Certainly, we've done that. Certainly, I've done that. But perhaps not anymore. I don't think the country can afford apathy anymore. We're so desperate. Every little thing helps. And if it's a song that increases the esteem of being Filipino, that's as concrete as a contribution as you can get. I think music is as concrete as a relief good distribution. Parang that's what you do. If I'm going to leave a few tips for people who are watching, I think no one's born a genius. Very few. I think very few of us are born geniuses. Maybe some with math because the natural cadence of your brain will like math or music. But I think a genius is someone who fell in love with a craft, who fell in love with a sport, who fell in love with something, enough to do it every day, enough to pay the hours, enough to pay the dues, enough to do it over and over until they've perfected it. And then they are deemed geniuses. Pero lahat yon galing sa endurance, galing sa trabaho. I think the real the perfection of a job or a craft comes from repetition. We know this, we've seen this, like a sport. If you do it over and over, then you can do it. But you cannot do it over and over unless you love it. So figure out what it is that you love doing. Figure out what it is that you can do, actually, for knowledge of self. Figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at. Acknowledge your forte, acknowledge your weaknesses, and work from it. And then, if the country's lucky, it will benefit more than just you.